really am. Good morning. This is Tuesday, August the 9th, and this is the Management and Internal Services Committee meeting. I'm calling it to order. We have a quorum with 2 folks, and I'm going to start with an invocation. If you'll bow your heads with me, please. Lord, thank you so much for this beautiful day, and thank you for these folks who work so hard for the county that help us have a wonderful place to live. Be with us today as we go through this meeting and go through our agenda. Help us to thoughtfully consider all of all of the items in front of us, and help us to make our decisions in fairness and in truth. In your name we pray, amen. Amen. If you'll join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it is nation, God. Silence my phone right here. All right. Let's see, we've already had roll call. Need approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Thank you. And approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes?
Not to my knowledge, Madam Chair.
Very good. I don't have any presentations or items on the consent agenda. Moving directly into debate. Mr. Johnson?
First item for your consideration is our service agreement with CSRA Alliance for Fort Gordon. As you know, Columbia County's been involved in this alliance with Fort Gordon for some time, and the total amount is $25,000. That has not changed. It is in our budget. Staff recommends approval of the service agreement.
Move to consent.
Thank you. Next.
Next item you have is consideration for a service agreement with Fire 5K. This is another program that we've done for the last, I guess, probably a couple of years, maybe 4 or 5 years. It is a 5K that raises money for people that are victims of fire. The total amount is $2,000 from Commissioner discretionary, and staff recommends approval of the service agreement.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
Next item you have is your 2022 ACCG safety incentive discount. This is part of our workers' comp fund. We have been receiving these discounts for several years, I believe since 1999. This year, we actually received a check for $40,490, which was higher than what the average has been. Staff recommends the approval for the chairman to sign the safety discount verification form for Columbia County to receive our incentive program discount.
Move to consent quickly.
So moved. Next.
Last item I have for your consideration is the intergovernmental agreement for lost distributions with the city of Harlem and Grovetown. As you know, we're required by law to negotiate lost every 10 years in accordance with the census. We did meet with the cities. We have come to a resolution here. We're actually leaving our percentages the same. We analyzed the data. Both cities probably could have stood to take a little bit less in loss. The county could have stood to take a little bit more, but we just thought that in goodwill and the fact that they're using this money to keep their property taxes low, we would leave it there. You would see that Grovetown will receive 11% of the lost, Harlem 2.5%, and the county 86.5%. And this is for the full 10-year period that goes through 2032. So staff recommends the approval of the IGA for the distribution of loss for the cities of Harlem and Grovetown. And while this does not have to go to debate, it may be something you may want to consider all the commissioners having an opportunity to discuss.
And these percentages hold for 10 years?
Yes.
Yes.
This will be the only vote you get regardless.
There you go.
Yeah, and I just want to compliment you, Scott. There was a lot of great work you did as we sat and met with them. The Dewey Galey's District 4 Commissioner sat with the Grovetown and Harlem, and it was just a really good meeting, and I could tell everybody was very appreciative. So we'll move to debate.
So moved. Anything else on that section, Mr. Johnson?
That's all I got.
All right, internal services.
Good morning. The only item I have for you this morning is the safety incentive discount program on our property and liability side. Very similar to the workers' comp, we do receive a discount of 5% if we qualify with the qualifications of the program or the criteria for the program. You see listed there what those requirements are. The verification form must be signed by the chairman and be submitted by September 16th of this year in order to be eligible for the safety discount. So staff recommends approval and allowing the chairman to sign.
Move to consent.
So moved. Anything else?
That's it.
Dan? Thank you. Technology.
I wish you'd
Spending
quit
money
asking him how much money he's gonna
Did you see the
spend.
list?
I
Did you
just,
see this? You're killing me. Go ahead, let's hear it.
Well, this is all important stuff, so it's worth it in the end, I promise.
Okay.
All right, the first item I have for your consideration is the 2022-2023 Microsoft Enterprise Agreement annual payment. This is an agreement that the IT department has with Microsoft, or technically Columbia County has with Microsoft, in order to provide all of our Microsoft software, the Office software that we use, operating system software that we use. We're covered for 3 years with that, and this is the third payment of $284,910.28, which is in IT's operating budget, and staff recommends approval.
and they got a good gig going, don't they?
Microsoft?
Yes.
Yes, sir, they do.
They moved from you can just buy it to install it to, oh, I think we should pay every year. Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
Second item is an annual support agreement and license agreement for IAS World software. This is the software that's used by the tax commissioners and tax assessor's office. The annual renewal of this is $162,595 and is in IT's operating budget for this fiscal year. Staff recommends approval.
Now, this is the new system, right?
Yes, sir.
Any feedback on how it's working compared to the old? Scott, are you aware, anybody?
I can speak to that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Reader's Digest version.
As with any new software package, there's a few challenges. Especially when they get through some process, they only do once a year. But they've worked with the IT department. They've worked with the company, Tyler, and it's very successful. In fact, they'll be expanding that to use some additional modules in the future.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
Next item I have is a vehicle allowance change for broadband personnel. In the budget, it was requested that the network manager would get a vehicle allowance instead of the county truck that he currently drives. Broadband is requesting to switch this so that he would retain the vehicle instead based on the anticipated work that they've got to do in the field. So there's no really net change in the budget due to this request. Staff recommends approval.
So he had a truck, wanted to go to a
vehicle allowance, and just based on the projects they have in the pipeline, it just made more sense for them to keep the truck so that he can be out in the field.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
Next item I have for you is another renewal. This one is with CityWorks for our annual maintenance agreement with them. Obviously, you've heard me talk about CityWorks before. It's the product that we use for work orders and asset management in many county departments. The cost for this renewal is $100,000 per year, which is in the GIS department operating budget, and staff recommends approval.
So how does this work? Because I seem to get more emails that CityWorks is down than any other software package we have.
They've recently gone through a major platform upgrade. They've taken their old obsolete equipment and they've moved the platform to a new solution, new hardware, upgraded software. So they're going through the bumps and bruises that usually occur. But it's a far advanced solution above and beyond what they were on before. So once that's smoothed out, it should be smooth sailing.
I'll hold you to that. Sailing.
Well, sir, it also, on most of those outages, they were components. Like, I think, an alert. So overall, I mean, like Michael said, you've got to work through it when you transition platforms.
Move to consent.
Not unexpected.
So moved. Next.
All right, next item I have for you is renaming a private road from White Oak Way to Seven Branches Road. This is a road that's on the north side of Cobham Road. There's not actually even a road sign there right now, but it's on a plat from years and years ago where it says White Oak Way. This is not in the vicinity of White Oak Road or White Oak Campground Road or anything like that. So in situations like that, we prefer the road name to change, and the citizens brought this to us, and everyone involved on that road agrees that they'd like to change this to Seven Branches Road. So staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
So moved.
Next item I have is a master service agreement with WRDW. This is a temporary agreement. They just need some space on the White Road Tower so that they can meet some FCC requirements while they're building their own tower or making other arrangements. So we have an 11-month agreement here with them. The overall revenue to broadband is $8,400. Staff recommends approval.
I do notice that we pay in 6 figures, but we only collect in 4. So
You told me to be easy on him.
I want you to work on that. Work on that.
It all works out in the end, right, Ms. Reed?
So moved. Next.
I'm being easy. Dog trucks.
Next item is Gentry Fund Dark Fiber IRU. We've had several IRUs with Gentry Fund throughout the last few years. They're turning into a very consistent and good customer for us. This is a small agreement, unfortunately not in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we're basically making it so they can have a what we call a meet me point to bring them to bring their fiber to a location where they can get services from WOW. So the revenue over this is $2,012 over the 3-year period.
Move to consent.
So moved. Next.
All right. Next item I have is equipment and services from Presidio for the Information Technology Disaster Recovery Site. I'll be upfront on this one that there will be additional agenda items down the road for the ITDR site. This is a SPLOST project that's been in the works for several years. Funding is now available, and IT is working to stand up that site. So this is the first of at least 3 agenda items you'll see in the future. This one is for the network equipment that they need to connect this to the rest of our network. So we need to order this equipment and get it in so that when we have a shelter put it in, that we can go ahead and get it installed. This is being purchased through Presidio from Cisco. The overall cost is $194,961.94, funded through SPLOST funds. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
So moved. He says recommends approval, like it's a game show.
They always do. Yeah. That's their job.
One more.
One more, last but not least, we have the purchase of a Cisco firewall from Presidio. Last December, we brought an agenda item to you in which we were purchasing an identity services engine appliance. That's something that helps us with our wireless and how people authenticate to it or connect to us. And we also bought a primary firewall. This is for our backup firewall. And you've heard me talk about security before. The firewalls are essential to what we do to keep the county safe from intrusion. So this is really the second phase of that project. The cost of this is $112,928.95. It was budgeted in IT's capital budget for 22 to 23, and staff does recommend approval.
And so that's all the equipment and the installation.
Yes, ma'am.
Move to consent.
So moved. Is there anything else, Mr. Blanchard?
No, ma'am, that's quite enough.
Okay,
Staying
that is
consistent on that 6-figure, 4-figure, though. Pretty impressive.
all right. So no other items. Do we have any legal matters? No legal matters. Going into staff reports.
The only item I have for you is just our personnel savings to date. You can see there that we're already on pace to exceed our goal again. We do have I want to plug, we do have a job fair today that I know HR and a lot of our departments have been working on, putting a lot of effort into that. So hopefully we'll see a lot of applications out of that job fair today.
All right. Comments or questions on that one? Next.
First item I have for your review is the year-to-date budget report. This is the first month of our new fiscal year, so this report is for the month ended July 31st. We should be operating around 8.3%. Of course, it's very early on the revenue side to really look at that until taxes start coming in, but everybody is operating as they should be.
Questions, sir? Okay, next.
The next item is the sales tax report. This is for the month of June. That revenue was just over $3 million. Our annualized percentage increase is 10.28%. That is 1.88% higher than last month and 10.14% higher than last year, the same month last year.
Yeah, that was shocking to me. It was so high.
I think internet sales tax is, I've been working with some other counties and trying to help them, and this is something we're seeing statewide in Georgia, and it all traces back to April of 2020. I mean, Columbia County was on a trend anyway, but internet sales tax is a game changer, I think, for the way we collect this.
Thank you. Next.
The last item is the investment report for your information.
I have no questions on that one.
Yeah, all our stuff is like no risk investments. So the fact the market's going berserk has nothing to do with us.
Correct.
Very good. And the broadband utility report.
Speaking of hundreds of thousands of dollars, I wanted to just report to you for the fiscal year that broadband just closed out. The revenue was $2.5 million, which was higher than it ever has been before. So broadband is doing a bang-up job there. It's an 88% increase since 2015, so we've almost doubled in that time period. There's one other thing I wanted to bring to your attention here is that one of the goals of broadband for a long time has been to make the county component of what the county pays for services to be less than, or to be only 50% or less of revenue. Right now, our outside customers are paying more than 50% of broadband's revenue. The county portion is only 44.4%. So that's a trend that we see increasing in the future, that we'll have more and more outside customers. Mr. Sparrow is here. If you have any other questions about broadband, I'm sure.
I don't have any questions.
And thank you. Do we have any commissioners or public comments? Commissioner Richardson, you good? All right, anybody else? Moving on, we have a couple of executive session items. Would you like to deal with those here or push them?
I say we just make a motion, we move them to the full board.
Okay, so for both the personnel and property items on the executive session agenda, we'll push those to the full board. Having no other business for this committee, we're going to adjourn and come back in 2 minutes with our next committee meeting. Thank you.